The title is The Inherent Strengths in Kinship Families. And today's module is entitled Adaptability. In that module, I'll be talking about what about kinship care is so special, and one of the strengths of kinship care being able to assume the roles and the responsibilities that keep children in the family. And I have three goals, three objectives while I'll be addressing in this module. The first will be to define and explain why adaptability is a strength in kinship care. The second goal and objective is to describe how kinship caregivers are involved in providing adaptability. And the third I'll be doing is identifying tasks for caregivers in facilitating the family's adjustment and adaptation to becoming a kinship family. So let me start with the definition. When I say adaptability, I'm talking about the ability of relative caregivers and kinship families to be able to assume the roles and responsibilities necessary for providing permanency, well-being, protection, and stability for the children in the absence of their parents. Let me simplify that a little bit. Relative caregivers, in a matter of days, in a matter of hours, are able to assume the roles and responsibilities that keep children in their family so that they don't have to go into care. And I want to talk about that adaptability. And I specifically want to talk about what about the family dynamics that makes them able to do that in a matter of hours. So, what I'd like to do now is ask you a question. And if you would, use the chat for your answers. If for some reason your children were able to stay with you and you had to have them live outside of your home, here's the question. Would you rather them stay with a professionally trained, experienced, and licensed foster family, or would you rather they stay with family? All things equal, and with both families being competent to protect, what would be your preference? That they stay either with a licensed foster family who are professionally trained or family members. So if you would, please put in the chat what your preference would be and why. Where would you prefer they stay? And why? And I'm going to take a few minutes for you to complete your chat. And Candy, when you start to get some responses, could you share them with us, please?
Absolutely. So far, we are getting a unanimous across the board family.
Oh, okay. And the whys. Now, that's the best part.
Familiarity with the children.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone they already know and trust.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be with those that love them and people that they know and can trust. Depending on family. They know they can depend on family. Relational bonds.
Okay. Well, you've just completed my list to look at what are the strengths of adaptability in kinship families. Again, it's the ability to reassign roles that then allow children not to be removed from the family. To me, that's the most salient strength. Because relative caregivers, in a matter of hours, are able to provide permanency, protection, and well-being, they're able to prevent their children from leaving the family. From the time that worker knocks on the door and says, your children need to be placed, are you willing to take them? At that moment, just after that question, relative caregivers will say yes, and they immediately, in a matter of hours, find space, in a matter of hours, find clothing, in a matter of hours, find additional food, and within days, find schools for the children. Within weeks, set up medical appointments. That's what I mean by assigning the roles and responsibilities. All that so that the children don't leave, and they do it in a matter of hours and weeks and days. The second one is the ability to reunify children with their parents and then remain involved with the birth family after reunification. One of the sad things about placing children in foster care is that they do develop attachments with the foster family. They do develop attachments with the foster parents, with the children in that family, their extended family. And then once we move them back to their birth families, they feel loss. One of the things that we've learned in the literature is that it is traumatic for children to experience separations from those with whom they've attached. They develop attachments with foster parents, with that foster family. So there's going to be loss, there's going to be some trauma, and that has to be worked through. So by children remaining with family, they don't have to experience that loss. They don't have to feel that trauma. And the third point is the ability for the family after reunification to still be involved. That was the second thing that was a sad thing about moving children from foster care, is that that foster family became a support to the children and to the birth family as well while the children was in their care. When you move them, they lose that safety net. They lose that connection. They lose that support system. If they stay with family, the family now becomes a support system and continue with that and can continue providing that support. The third strength of kinship families is that if in the event the children aren't reunified, the family is still there. That kinship family is still there as an alternative permanency option. So that's the other possibility. And they can still stay connected to the birth family. That's the other option. And that's the other support. The other thing is that you minimize the trauma of separation and loss by reassuring the children that they will always remain with family, if not with their parents. The trauma is what you minimize that we're talking about here. The trauma of not being able to be with family if I can't return to mom or dad. And then maintaining increasing the potential access of family with the birth family. In other words, there's still the holidays. There's still Christmas. There's still church events. There's still family events. There's still ceremonies and celebrations that the children will still be able to be involved with, even if they're not living with their birth parents. In a foster family, in an adoptive family, they do have a permanent family, but their involvement in family activities, in their birth families, their involvement with family activities with the birth parent around Christmas, holidays, New Year's celebrations, they can cease, and they may longer not have access to that. In kinship care, the children know that they'll still be connected with family, regardless of who they live with, whether they live with the birth parents or live with birth family. Now, what I'd like to now do is play a video of me doing training with kinship caregivers around family dynamics, because it's the family dynamics that make relative caregivers and kinship caregivers able to adapt so quickly. It's the family and the shifts in family dynamics. And by family dynamics, I'm talking about the shifts and the assuming of new roles and new relationships